Hello everyone, welcome back to Marion's garden. And before I go anywhere else, I just want to say a big heartfelt thank you to all of you who sent me lovely supportive messages and subscribed and said such lovely things about my first video last week. Thank you really to everyone indeed, I really appreciate it. Today I'm doing a video tour of my garden, starting at the front. The front garden is just the width of the house, which is 30 feet, and the depth of it from my front door to my front gate is just 11 feet. So it's not very big at all. It's divided into two because the front door's in the middle and they are heavily planted. However, they need a lot of weeding. My beautiful clematis and honeysuckle arch came down in the wind just before Christmas last year, and although I had every intention of putting a new one up or trying to build one out of wood, I just didn't get round to it, and I just didn't think anything more until it all started to grow this spring, and then I realised I'd missed the time for it, and I just have to put up with it as it is for this year. So at some point I'm going to have to do something about it. Last week in my comments somebody gave a helpful suggestion about maybe showing a plan of what the garden looked like and the design of it, and then what I was turning it into. So here goes. This is not exactly to scale, but it's not too bad. So I've got 30 feet along the bottom here, and this is the back of the house, and then 83 feet from the house right up to the top here. Come into the side gate here, and that's my courtyard, and I have a little table and a horse trough and log store and a shed and plants and what have you. And you go out here into the garden, so you go into the path and it curves round. I've got lots of planting. There's a big amelanchier here and Philadelphus and clematis. You go around the corner, my shed's hidden and the greenhouse is here, and I have a bit of paving in front. And then you've got a choice to go straight ahead under the rose arch or down to the right towards the sunny bench. And then if you go around to the left, I go up a step, and then that goes up towards the shady bench. And so the ground steadily rises up to here, and there's a little stream that doesn't work because the electricity stopped working a couple of years ago. So from here though, you can either go up to the shady bench or you go along here. This was always a stone wall holding back the height of the soil. A low level with roses, the lilac. You went up, there was the willow and a plum tree, and then right at the top corner I had my compost heap and a hedge that I planted the first spring that we came here, and which was nearly 25 years ago. There was two steps, and then round the corner another step to get up to this high level, and the holly and the box were there, as well as roses and planting. And this is the area that was totally covered in ground elder. This whole area here was coming up from underneath this pond liner. However, when you get to the top, you then have this high corner here, and this is the highest corner that I've got. There's a silver birch and a hazel and exocorda, and then the fields outside the back, and then my next door neighbour here and here. The ground sort of rises from down here, sort of up across there like that, and I terraced it into flat levels. Nothing down here is changing really, except that the greenhouse will be going, and so this planting area here will extend into the greenhouse space. That's the area that needs a great big sort out. And as I come through here, I still have the wall, but the pond's been relocated into that area there. Actually, it's not as big as I'm showing on there. I think that I haven't got the scale quite right, but it's relocated from up here down into this corner, and the shape of that wall has stayed the same. So this is the whole bit that's changed. The steps that were up here have now been pulled back to where the lilac is, and I flattened that space out for the polytunnel. That area there has raised up by 18 inches, which is quite a lot of soil, and I'm still got too much up here at the moment. There's going to be 4 veg beds, which are going to be 8 by 4. That's all I can really get in. The compost relocating from over here to here, and the excess soil will just keep moving, and I imagine that I'm going to end up with some sort of a wall here to take the highest area still, because that is quite high. There's actually lots of bindweed and horsetail up here, and I can already see the bindweed coming through in here where I've cleared some of the plants already. Oh, and my sunshine, south is here, north I'm on sort of a diagonal access to north, south, east and west, so south's coming here into the polytunnel. It's the 21st of May when I'm recording my garden tour. It was a lovely sunny afternoon. Everything was looking super pretty. From the house wall to the garden, it's 15 feet in width. There are roses on the fence. That one not in flower yet is blush noisette. This one here just coming into flower is For Your Eyes Only. It's got lovely dark buds just coming out now. And this sunny corner was always the herb corner, but there's a bit of replanting needs to be done. The cherry tree, I think it's Sunburst, and it does fruit well, but I haven't netted it from the blackbirds the last few years, so I haven't had any cherries off it. There's a little bay tree bush. There's French sorrel, which is absolutely amazing. I have an old wheelbarrow planted up with alpines. The thrift and the phlox have taken it over a bit, but it looks pretty. That's actually the bath I used to get bathed in when I was a little baby. But the mint's not happy in it. It should be growing well and it's not. Right outside my back door I have a wormery that's been going for years and years. I use it a lot. In fact, I'll talk about how I compost things in another video probably, because I do have a system for all my food waste. Along the back wall I have a horse trough filled with all sorts, but actually there's a lot of plants on hold here that I've put in just since digging up the top. Now it is looking pretty, but it's so overgrown. All that's happened is that the new growth is rising above all the stuff I didn't cut down and all the dead stuff from the end of last year. But while it's pretty, I'll just enjoy the prettiness. So I put all the paths in myself. These two box I've grown from cuttings. There's a cube and a sphere. And that made me think that maybe the pyramid would come into this area. It could go here somewhere. Maybe behind the peony. So I've got Philadelphus here, Belle Etoile. There's a lot of things on hold now for the new veg patch. Those black things there get gravel in them. They've come from my sister's garden. As has those paving stones and the bags of grey gravel. They're just on hold in the yard until I dig out the space for them to go. I can show you here that there are lots of plants in pots and they're all on hold. They're plants I've tried to save from digging out for the polytunnel. The greenhouse is now half demolished. I took the glass out of one side to make it a holding area for plants I was saving, and then I had to half demolish the door to get one of the benches out. So it needs to come down. It's one of the priorities. But at the moment it's actually being the holding area for all of these bonny plants. And most of them seem to be doing all right. Go along the path towards my archway. It has a rose and a couple of clematis on. And it hasn't been pruned for, well, 4 years. So it's giving a lot of shade. So it needs a serious prune this autumn. I can't prune the flower buds off now, can I? I need to let it flower. So I can go through there, or I can go down here towards my sunny bench. Past the sweet woodruff and the white the white hardy geraniums, past the tree peony, go this way. This lovely rose I planted for my husband, it's a poet's wife, and I'm pleased to say it's got plenty of buds on. And this little oak tree I've grown from an acorn. And the window salvaged from a skip. And you can see a matching one there in the side of the shed. And go down this little path. And now you can see how far I've got with the tunnel. It's amazing. Be no surprise that I like wildflowers. They're all over the place. You can see this is what I was doing in the first video, moving the griffin and getting my levels. And here it is all done. I got the beds planted up as soon as the polythene went on, and I'm afraid I haven't grown them all from seed because really I've missed the sowing season in a way. I'm just going to play catch up and get what harvest I can. I have sown Swiss chard, beetroot, peas and little turnips. I just keep my fingers crossed. And the soil I dug out for the paths, plus my compost from my compost heap, virtually filled the beds. This is something I've never done before. Strawberries in hanging baskets. And the wool here comes around Misty's cat food. I thought it would make a good liner. My potatoes have been earthed up. These ones are just staying in here. I'm not sure whether they are alright in a polytunnel, but I've got nowhere to move them to. You can see how here just how my staging has gone in. I'm super happy with it. The tunnel does feel like a whole new adventure. I've never actually grown undercover before, excepting for my tomatoes, which I've grown for years and years up until last year. So all of this growing in beds undercover is a new experience. So anybody give me tips in the comments. I'm open to learning as much as possible. And although I've gardened for years for flowers, and I have had an allotment before, there are always new things to find out and new ways of doing things, and I love to embrace it all. What I particularly love is when I'm in here and I look out through the door, the beautiful lilac is just there. My husband Michael bought me the lilac for our 20th wedding anniversary, and when I was planning out for the tunnel I knew that I couldn't go any further than the lilac because I wouldn't move it or cut it or prune it. And so it's just here, sheltering the doorway and welcoming me as I come up the garden to go in. It's a beautiful double flower and the scent is heavenly. It's flowering well this year. The two areas that need a lot of attention are this little area beside my sunny bench. It has 3 glorious roses in that haven't been pruned. This area here is the other big area that needs attention. It's really overgrown. It's overgrown with some pretty things though. And from the greenhouse side it's just as bad. Lots and lots of pruning. And although the Philadelphus needs a great big prune, I'll wait until it's finished, because this lovely rose is about to come into flower. Now we get to the area that just needs doing. This is as far as I've managed to get. All my focus was on levelling out for the tunnel. If I walk up the side of the polytunnel, I'll be right at the back of my garden. And hopefully I'll be putting some guttering up too so I can get some water. I've turned my boundary hedge into a dead hedge. That happened when the men came to take the willow tree down, because I realised I just couldn't manage the hedge myself anymore. And so I got the men to top it, and then on a whim I decided to just kill it off. I've sawn through most of it at the bottom, and then all of the arisings that came from the tree, the willow tree and the old plum tree, I've woven them in. It'll have made a beautiful habitat for wildlife in a different way that a living hedge does. The little birds seem to like it already. So when I look across from here to the boundary, where the thalictrum is where I haven't dug any plants out yet, because I just got so far over and then realised I had to level for the tunnel. So my priority is actually this bed here. I need an outside bed so I can put some Brussels sprouts and some turnips and things in. And that would mean I could finish round the side of the pond too. The old pond is under there, all filled in now. I'm pleased to say my new pond looks like it's been here for ages. It's actually been here 3 weeks. And my tadpoles seem super happy being there. And there's frogs, and there's newts too. You can see that the path here used to go onwards and upwards, and I have what's always been called my shady bench up there. That might stay and it might go. It'll probably stay, I think. But this is the whole area that had the ground elder, and I've mainly, I think, dug it out, even though it might just come back, but I'll be watching out for it now. I did keep all of the wood that came off the willow tree and the plum tree that had to come down to make way for all my levelling. Because of course you always need a good log standing up in the garden, especially where you can put your cup of tea down. I've got some priorities at the moment. In no particular order, I'd say I have to get the first outside bed completed, because I have bought some leeks and I've sown some purple sprouting broccoli, and I have got some Brussels sprout seedlings, and they're just past when they should have been in really, and so I'm playing catch up. So that first outside bed has to be a priority, as is getting water up to the tunnel, because at the moment I'm either carrying my watering cans up to water things, or I'm dragging the hose right the way through, and because my paths are not particularly straight, they're all curvy, and I don't like to squash my plants, it's been a bit of a bother. Because normally I wouldn't have been up there watering things, because everything just got along with itself in its own way, and occasionally I watered a plant that looked like it needed it, but I wasn't regularly taking the watering hose up there. So water gutters for the water butts, I suppose can come later on, because we're not in the rainy bit at the moment. Finishing off the paths at the back and the side, and then chipping up the branches and starting to clear for the next bed along. I've only cleared my ground and my pretty plants out of the ground that will take the first 2, and so if I can get the first 2 bottom ones in, I'll be able to finish around the pond. And then another thing will be to get the rest of the greenhouse demolished and the glass and the frame away. So if you've got any thoughts on which should be my first priority, by all means let me know. And any polytunnel tips, absolutely let me know, because I've never had one before, and it'll be a new experience growing things in there. I'm already wondering whether I should be growing things like the purple sprouted broccoli or the broad beans in there. It doesn't seem like they're an inside thing, but maybe they are. And I have got a couple of lovely books, but any tips gratefully received. I think for me the number one is getting the outside bed in, so that I can at long last plant in the leeks and the Brussels sprouts that I've got, and I can sow something like swede and white turnip, both of which I love. So I think for me that's the number one, but yeah, tell me if you think there's something else I've missed out. Thank you for being here and following along. I might not have a video every Saturday, but at the moment there's a lot going on and there'll be a lot to catch you up with every week. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Bye everyone from Marion's garden on a lovely sunny morning.